Hey everybody, welcome to Comics All Mode podcast, where we talk about comics, TV, movies, geek culture in general. And as you see translating right now, the screen is transforming. You see us in person, and my roommate's dogs are barking. But the best part is we already did this. We are in a alternate reality. We're not even in a multiverse. I just forgot to hit record.
It happens to the best of us.
But hey, we're on video. Hi.
Yeah, there you
Hello,
go.
YouTube.
What's
Welcome.
Up, guys? Welcome to Comics All Mode.
That was not my.
Wow, dude, this is like just going off the rails right now. We're keeping all this, by the way. We're not going to cut.
This is all going in.
We're not going to edit this.
Welcome to the absolute conundrum that is Comics a la Mode.
Conundrum a la Mode. We're changing our name also.
Yeah, there it is. We've been wanting to do this for Chaos a la Mode. That's exactly it. Chaos with a helping of ice cream. Multiverse of Comics a la Mode. We have been wanting to do. I have been wanting to do this from the very beginning that we started this show. And when Landon came on board, I literally told him right off the bat, I was like, dude, we're going to be doing just audio, but the plan as soon as I possibly can is to get us on video.
We'll get there.
And so here we are.
Here we are.
We made it. We took a couple weeks. We took a week off. And obviously that was a lot to do with the fact that I was trying to put a lot of this stuff together, figure a lot of it out. And on the flip side, life is life. So we're here. Yeah, we made it. This is going to be a fun episode. We have a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about the first 2 episodes of House of Dragon and the first 2 episodes of She-Hulk, both of which I feel like we have quite a bit to say.
I'll tell you what, there's a large gap between my thoughts for House of the Dragon and like She-Hulk, but
I get it. That's fine. But what I will say, I'm just rotating my camera. What I will say is, to start us off, there was a couple comics that came out. Landon, what did you have come out today? Because I looked and I don't remember seeing anything that really.
I had a pretty empty pull box today, not going to lie. I didn't get any new issues, but if listeners will recall, I think the last episode that we put out, I was talking about something cool that I had ordered at my comic book shop that I've been checking to see if it was there every week. And he's like, no, it's going to be here maybe by the end of the month. Just keep looking. Sure enough, August 31st today, and what I was expecting was in my pull box, and that is the only thing that I got today. So I ordered a copy of the Batman 89 collected edition of the 5 runs, the 5 issues that they did in a sequel to Tim Burton's Batman 89. So that's the Michael Keaton version. That's like Billy D. Williams, Two-Face, and it came today, and I read the first issue. And I'll tell you what is the coolest thing about this book, which now that we have a visual component, I'll be able to show off.
We can show things off.
There you go. You got Michael Keaton, classic Batman pose, cool. Batman 89. And then the coolest thing, though, is you take this off, because this is a slipcover, right? I got a hardback edition of this. So you take the slipcover off, which will obviously not go easy. You take it off, boom, VHS tape. It says Batman 89 on it. It has all the accolades that like a typical VHS tape would have. It's got Dolby like surround and all this stuff, but it's a comic book. But just makes it feel that more vintage and that much more in line with kind of the technology that was coming out around the time Michael Keaton was in his prime as Batman. I'm very excited to finish that book. But that's basically it for comics in my realm.
Nice.
What about you, man?
Yeah, so it was a very slow week comics wise. I know we have quite a bit coming out, I think next week. Mm-hmm. But one of the cool things that did come out this week was Amazing Fantasy. And yes, see, I get to show things.
Isn't that fun? Too. I like that.
I know, it is fun.
Look what I'm reading.
Amazing Fantasy 1000, which is really cool because, and actually I bought another version. I bought a variant issue and I put it up on the comics wall. Because it's really cool. And
you mentioned the artist that is in there.
Yeah.
Stegman.
Yeah. Ryan Stegman is really cool. Again,
We've already done this,
10
but it's
minutes
okay.
already talking about this because I didn't hit record. But yeah, Ryan Stegman is in this, which I always love seeing Ryan Stegman's art. I'm really excited because next week Vanish #1 comes out, and that is Ryan Stegman and Donny Cates, which the last time they worked together was on Venom. And so I'm really excited for that. I think it's gonna be really cool.
Who's Vanish? Is that a Marvel property?
No, it's their own thing. They like cool. Donny Cates is this is
kind of thing.
This is out of Donny Cates' head essentially.
Very nice.
But the cool thing about Amazing Fantasy 1000 is it is a 1000th issue. It is now joining the ranks of Detective Comics 1000, which I have that one as well as not Amazing Fantasy. This is Amazing Fantasy.
Superman.
Yeah, Superman. Action Comics.
Whatever his books are called.
Action Comics 1000. And so it's just a fun issue. It really gets to the core of who Spider-Man is, which is always a fun ride. Really enjoy it. If you want to check it out, do check it out. It's a great read. And it's nice because like even like this cover, like I'm okay with this cover. I like it. It's very classic. It definitely recalls like that old school classic Amazing Fantasy feel, which is fun.
You know what? Sometimes less is more, and a simple cover like that kind of just gets the message straight across. Listen, this is a hero that's been around for a long time. You all know what he can do. Let's just put a simple New York backdrop on there and just show your boy off. That's it. You know?
Exactly.
Love it.
There's a couple news items that we should talk about before we get into the shows. Oh, DC. The saga that is the DC universe.
Is this
they just never have any good news. Ever. Like never any good news. Both Shazam, the Shazam sequel, as well as the Aquaman sequel, both got pushed.
Boo.
Back a whole nother year.
That sucks.
So we're not getting them until, whatever.
Next year.
But on top of that, interesting factoids came out about the Batgirl movie. I don't know if you heard about this.
Maybe. What do you got?
The directors went into the server, logged into the server to get essentially to kind of recover a copy of Batgirl. It had been taken off the servers. So essentially it's been deleted. Completely deleted. Movie is no more. Vanished.
That's a shame.
Reasoning behind that is that sometimes in movie productions, movies get essentially they get turned into a tax write-off, saying, "Hey, this movie existed. We can write it off for taxes. We'll make more money as from this movie as a tax write-off than we will actually putting it out." And essentially, what happened was that Warner Brothers had decided that Batgirl was too expensive of a movie to make its money back on HBO Max, and not grand enough of a movie to make its money back as a theatrical release.
Yeah.
So what they decided was that, hey, we're gonna just use this as a tax write-off
and scrap the whole thing.
But we live in the 21st century, and there's this thing called the internet, and there's this thing called leaks, and there's this thing called Deadpool literally became a movie because of leaks of test footage.
True.
So it looks like Warner Brothers is like, yeah, we're not, because what happens is when you decide a movie is going to be a tax write-off, it can never see the light of day, because then it gets all of the clauses that are there essentially, if it does somehow see the light of day, that's gone. It's no longer, no longer can be called a tax write-off. But because we live in an era of leaks, Warner Brothers has done the drastic decision of just completely pulling it off the servers and fully deleting it.
And so they did that because they didn't want anybody to leak it, because they didn't.
Because they wanted to make sure that they could tax write off.
That is so.
It's so
absurd.
sad.
and like really hurtful to the creators of that film, right? It was basically finished, as far as I know. I don't think they did reshoots.
It was in post production.
I think they were going to do some reshoots, probably.
They did. No, I'm pretty sure. They did the reshoots. Yeah, they did the reshoots, and now they were in post production. That they were just editing the film. I never really had a lot of hope in that movie. I will just say. Then again, I was also kind of hoping that it would be good.
Yeah. I remember when it's going to be interesting came out and we saw like the costume and everything.
She looked good in the costume.
I thought the costume was pretty good. I was more interested about
Keaton looked good in the costume too.
Yeah, Keaton's back. I don't even know if I ever saw Keaton in the costume, but I saw a stunt double and I was like, that looks great. Which kind of regenerated my interest in Keaton's Batman, which is why I got the 89 book. But I was also really interested in seeing Brendan Fraser return to the big screen, and in
also
a DC villain role, no less. He was going to play Firefly. That had me intrigued.
Also true.
Not going to see that. And the showrunners, I believe they did Miss Marvel, right? Abdul.
Yes.
Abi something.
I don't know. I don't know if they did.
I think
Miss Marvel or not.
I think they did, or one of them. Either it doesn't matter. They were in. One of them was getting married when they found out, so that just nails the nail in the coffin, right? That's just the worst news ever, to find out that your project of probably 2 or 3 years, right? Writing, post, shooting, principal photography, all that is scrapped. And the one guy was like, I went to the headquarters and I was like, get your phone out, record as much of this as you can, or bring a hard drive or something. And he was like, it's gone already. So yeah, I didn't really know the stuff about the tax write-off, but that just adds to a multitude of reasons why. I mean, WB is, they're also going through like an executive shakeup, right? They got that new guy. There's fresh blood at the top of the tower, right? They're trying to find their Kevin Feige, and he's wanting to shake things up. What's his name? Like Dan Lin, maybe, or something?
I don't remember. Yeah, I don't remember.
That other guy's
but
out.
It'll be interesting. I really hope I hope Black Adam is good.
I hope it's good. The other thing about this is I heard that Batgirl's test scores were really bad and like darn near abysmal with test screenings. But I also heard that those test screenings were the same percentage as Black Adam, which is releasing in like a month from now.
Yeah, the difference. But let's all be real here. The difference is that one of those movies has attached to it one of the biggest actors in the world.
There's not a chance in hell that The Rock's main piece of media coming out this year is going to get canceled. I mean, there's no way. He's just
it's also not going to bomb. It's also not going to bomb, no matter what.
I don't think it'll bomb. I don't think it'll do particularly the numbers they think it will, but
people are going to see that it's The Rock and go see it. That's literally what's going to happen.
Yeah, and that's kind of what their marketing is, anyways. Because he doesn't.
I mean, the same thing happens with Kevin. The same thing happens with Kevin Hart. Like anything Kevin Hart is in is going to do well.
I suppose.
So, you know, that's the news.
That's the business, man. It's all about money. So at the end of the day, creators get shafted, and that sucks.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. We have some fun stuff coming out, I think, next week. We've got Rings of Power coming out on Friday, which I'm super excited about.
Yeah, for sure.
We've got new episodes of She-Hulk coming out tomorrow. We've got obviously we have new episodes of House of Dragon coming out on Sunday. We have Thor: Love and Thunder coming out on September 8th, which I'm excited about because I really want to watch that movie again and see how I feel about it again. Still,
did you saw it twice? Didn't you? Did you see it?
No, I never went back and saw it.
I remember you were talking about maybe seeing it again, and I was like, yeah.
I really wanted to, but
cool. Yeah, you'll get your chance. That is what it is. I think there's something else. Is there? I Am Groot. When does that come out? That comes out by the end of the year, right? That might be out already.
No, I think it comes out soon. I don't even think it comes out like
it's not really been on my radar.
Even though I'm not gonna watch it.
I will, but I don't really know what it is or like.
Also true.
It's like a bunch of shorts or something, and it does. I heard that it doesn't even take place after Guardians 2. It's like in between Guardians 1 and 2. So it's like, why did we learn nothing from Black Widow? Okay.
It's weird.
We need to be going forwards.
Oh, I have been. I haven't watched. I'm on the last season of For All Mankind. Still love that show. Really good. I got a Xbox Series X this last week, so I have been doing nothing but playing Xbox. And not
Russ
watching
and his
shows.
new equipment, man. Lots of new hardware over there.
So that has been fun. Which, just if anybody wants to know, Battlefield 2042 is actually a playable game on the Series X. Like it looks amazing, and it's actually really good. It's a lot of fun. So I've been playing that. I got back into Destiny 2.
Yeah.
On
the Xbox Series X.
Yeah, the story of that game is absolutely bonkers. I can never put it down. I stop playing it for a long time, and then a new expansion comes out and they start I'll see some story stuff and I'm like, oh my god, I gotta get back in. So then I'll go back. But then I have a bunch of friends who are playing it. So now I'm actually like, oh, okay, I've got to actually grind because I want to keep up.
Yeah.
So that's been fun. But I am getting back into TV shows now this week.
Sure.
I'm gonna finally finish. I'm gonna watch Sandman and actually get it finished because I really liked the first episode and I'm excited to see what happens.
I'm such an idiot because when I was doing that pod 2 weeks ago, it was the solo pod that I did. I was trying to catch up on a bunch of stuff that I wanted to talk about. So it's like some films that came out, and I realized after I shut the podcast, I was like, the newest thing that I've been watching and finished that day was the Sandman Netflix series, and I didn't even bring it up. It didn't even make the cut. And I was so upset.
Well, don't talk about it.
We haven't watched it yet, because I want to watch all of it because it is very good.
I will finish it.
I would highly recommend anybody to go out and watch it. It's very full of liberal ideas and characters.
Oh yeah, well everything is.
I mean, it's Netflix, right? You're gonna run into some of that, but at its core, it has some really rich, detailed, immersive storytelling at its core. And I love the story. There's one episode in particular. I love the format of the show as well, but because it's kind of anthological. Each episode kind of flows into each other, especially towards the latter half of the season. But initially, he's just kind of jumping from place to place, characters to characters. And I won't spoil anything, but there's a certain character and the representation around this idea and the way that they do this age-old concept is just beautiful. I was in tears the way that they did this. You'll know it when it comes up. But
I'm excited.
I can't wait to talk about Sandman. I loved it. I thought it was great. There's some stuff that I didn't like, of course, but we'll get to that eventually. So
nice. All right. Well, without further ado, let's talk about the two shows that are now current. Do you want to talk about She-Hulk first or House of Dragon?
I was gonna kind of see where the segue took us, but I was kind of hoping maybe we'd go into House of the Dragon because I'm super excited to have HBO, and I was sick on Monday. I've been kind of binging stuff on HBO. So
yeah, all right, let's talk about it.
Let's do House of the Dragon first.
House of the Dragon. First off, biggest thing I wanted to say about this show.
Initial thoughts.
If you saw this show and said, "Oh, I haven't watched Game of Thrones, so I can't watch this. I'm not going to watch this show."
I know somebody exactly going through that. They're like, "I can't watch it."
Everyone
can,
just you can. This literally requires no knowledge of Game of Thrones. The little knowledge that it does require, they tell you right at the beginning of this show.
It's given to you.
So this is literally the perfect prequel where you don't have to have all of this history and all of this knowledge. It is they start you off right off the bat. Here's A, B, and C that you need to know this show. Yeah. And these characters are so far removed from the Game of Thrones characters that if you have the knowledge of Game of Thrones, you'll be able to connect some dots. But these are characters that even people who have seen Game of Thrones don't really know anything about.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic. And the fact that they just start this show off the way they do, you hit the ground running, and you hit the ground running with enough knowledge to know where you're going.
Yeah.
Which I thought was great.
Yeah. Quick shout out to my buddy Bryce. If he's watching this episode, shout out to you, man. He's like the big Game of Thrones nerd that I know. He got me into the show. And you're absolutely right. You don't really need to know anything about Game of Thrones going into this because it's so far removed. I was going to say something. What was I going to say? Oh, the intro. So we have 2 episodes of this show so far, right? And literally, if you know even just any small surface level bit of Game of Thrones, like Jon Snow, Daenerys, that covers it, right? You already know kind of what this is going into, right? It's Daenerys's family history because she's like the main portion of that Game of Thrones show, right? If you know Daenerys, you can watch this and you can see kind of the lineage building up to Daenerys in the original Game of Thrones stuff. But it's right on quality with Game of Thrones. And it's like the best of Game of Thrones.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Yes.
This is very much a political drama. There's gonna be action, and there's gonna be some it's Game of Thrones.
Mm-hmm.
There's gonna be some just wild things that happen. There's 7 dragons in this show. Like literally, there's dragons in this show. So there's
dragons with nowhere. They're here and they're in full force.
it's gonna be wild. But outside of that, the way they present the different people in this show is just it's so good. Like even when it's when it's quote unquote boring, when you're not there's no action or anything.
And it's slow. Like the deeper moments, right?
It is
the character building,
riveting,
the universe
and
building.
It's awesome. It like grabs you and like you want to watch that.
You know what the cool thing is about the series and Game of Thrones in general? They do a very good job at showing the moves, right? The different schemes that all these characters have. And it does a great job of putting you in their headspace when that character's on screen. You're like, oh, I got to switch over to Otto Hightower because these are his motivations. This is what he's after. And every scene that they're placed in builds to something. And you can just feel this plot building and this pot stirring. King's Landing is about to explode. We have a king who's like losing his grip on power. We have several big players vying for that power. And the writing and just the flow of these 2 episodes are very, very strong.
Otto Hightower is a sleeper.
Yeah, I love Otto, dude.
He is someone that you don't. Yeah,
he's a viper.
You don't. He is their version of. He is this version of like Littlefinger.
Mm-hmm. I've seen that comparison a lot.
In a way that is more menacing, in my opinion, so far. 2 episodes in, and I'm like, this guy. Don't mess with this. And especially especially after the revelation of the 2nd episode, it's like, oh, he has been planning that. This isn't just. Oh yeah, wow!
I see a little opportunity to get the Iron Throne. No, this is like my moment has come at last.
Exactly.
Otto's great.
The acting in this is fantastic.
Of course.
The people, everybody in this is fantastic.
It's well cast.
Matt Smith is amazing in this show. He is playing obviously he is going to turn into like the quote unquote like big bad of the show. It seems like right now, or at least this episode,
he's the villain.
Or like this season, he's going to be the villain.
He's the antagonist.
But his motivations are so multifaceted that like you actually kind of root for him a little bit, and I really like that. I love when it's just he's a lot of his thought process is family,
mm-hmm.
and it's just his definition of like what you do for family is different from his brothers and from other people's definition, and that's why he's butting heads with them.
The other thing too is like, you do kind of root for him because you see his shortfalls, right? You see his sort of weaknesses. The show really opens up and lets itself be vulnerable with this villainous, you know, antagonistic character who's really fitting in that he's kind of making all of these things come into motion because he's going against his family, he's going against his traditions, and he's really doing his own thing, and he's stirring the waters, man. He's riving everybody up, and everybody's unhappy with him. But in those smaller moments when it just allows you to be like, oh yeah, he's not doing very well in the bedroom, or he got his ass beat at the tournament, right, by this random knight. You know, he's not perfect, and he's a fallible character, and kind of his hubris currently is his ambition. And that's fantastic setup for a character like that. Damon and Matt Smith, as you said, is playing that character very
well. I think it's really cool too, because in a lot of ways, oh gosh, now I forgot where I was going.
I know, dude. It's like the video component is like throwing me off. I'm like, I gotta think of something. What was I gonna say?
No, it's not even that. It's just I had this idea in my head and then I just forgot.
Is it about Damon, or is it about kind of the king, Viserys?
So the funny thing is, like,
Rhaenyra.
The really interesting part is like a lot of what he's doing is pretty standard. Obviously, him taking over Dragonstone with his group of guardmen.
Yeah, he's got his gold cloaks, right?
His gold cloaks is like a bad thing. Like, obviously that's a bad thing. But a lot of the other things that he does, the only reason they're considered bad is because of his brother's inaction. And it's really cool to see like where the king is fallible is also then where Damon is being treated as the villain, quote unquote, which is really cool to me. And I'm really excited to see more of that. Yeah. I think that's going to be really cool.
Yeah. The relationship that Damon has with his brother, who is the king currently, like, he's on the Iron Throne. Viserys Targaryen is the king, right? The ruler of Westeros. And Damon is doing everything that his brother like just doesn't really want him to. And the thing is Viserys is, like you said, he's not taking action against him, and it's showing that he's kind of weak. My friend Bryce, who we mentioned before, he put it really well. Viserys is a peacetime king. He's trying to avoid war at all costs, and he doesn't really know what to do in war, I feel like, because he hasn't seen it. He's a peacetime king. And so now that you have all these forces rising up to challenge his rule, Damon being like almost the least of them, because we have this other guy, right, in the Free Islands, or whatever they're called, the Crab Feeder, has me so excited for what this character is, what he's about. Crab Feeder sweep, baby. Crab Feeder
episode 2 does a lot. It's a lot slower than episode 1, but it does a lot to set up where we're going in this show.
I find myself thinking about episode 2 way more than episode 1. And like episode 1 was a huge like opener. Here's the tournament. Here's these dragons. You know we're back, baby. And it's like episode 2 is like, this is the series we're gonna do.
Episode 1 sets up the world we are in. Episode 2 really goes, here's where we're going. Like, that's a great way of putting it. Here's the conflicts that we are going to be dealing with moving forward. And I think that's really cool. They do it amazingly. Honestly, like, the biggest thing that, like, one of the biggest takeaways recently, especially now that Rings of Power is coming out on Friday, it is going to be a battle between these two shows.
These shows are going to be in hot competition.
To really see who pulls it out of the bag. And like, honestly, I'm really excited for that, because like, if Rings of Power falters, they're going, like, we all know that they are going to like really try for season 2. And so I'm really excited that these shows are coming out at the same time. I think this is actually really good for Rings of Power.
Agreed. Yeah. It's always good to have competition and to have people talk about your shows and compare and contrast.
And especially with Rings of Power, where a lot of the conversation over the like has been very like woke and very like like the like they're really pushing a lot of that like BS, and it's going to be interesting to see with like, you know,
a bit of a tumultuous marketing phase.
Game of Thrones had like just didn't care. Like they
because
were like,
they're already at the bottom. They're like, season 8 was crap. Like, well, we can only go up.
But but at the same time, their whole marketing play was, this is Game of Thrones.
True.
This is the next. This is Game of Thrones. What you understand, we are going back to what you loved about Game of Thrones. Yeah. And the problem is that Amazon didn't realize that they could literally do the same thing with Lord of the Rings.
Why they didn't, we'll never know.
You just like, obviously they were trying by calling it Rings of Power. Like, obviously they were trying, but then everything else in their marketing just crapped all over that. And it's like, all you have to say is literally your marketing has to be, hey, this is a prequel to Lord of the Rings.
Hey, you know,
this is the Lord of the Rings universe.
Hey, you know,
this is, and like the orcs, like when they showed the promotional material of the orcs, that was such a perfect way of doing that, because it's like, hey, you know how you didn't like the CGI orcs in The Hobbit? Yeah, we don't have those.
I've not seen
we don't have those. This is
we're going back to practical, doing makeup
used to do.
Yeah,
exactly.
And
that's how you market.
I feel like that's what they should have done, is like, hey, you know, the what is widely considered the greatest trilogy of all time and Oscar winning, The Lord of the Rings. Hey, yeah, we're doing that. It's coming back. Why they didn't just like push that? To be fair, I've not really kept up with Rings of Power. It's not the highest thing on my radar. Obviously, I'm very intrigued to see what it's about.
Well, there's only been 2 trailers. There's literally like
a lot of it's being kept.
Their marketing was all of the weird stuff that they did, and then they dropped 2 trailers that were actually good. And it's like, that's it. That's all that was.
Yeah.
So and again, I am a huge Tolkien nerd. Like, I am a huge Tolkien fan. So like, it has always been on, like, there's never been like, it's always been on my radar. I just didn't know it was happening so soon. Dude, this year has gone by so quickly that I forgot that like Rings of Power was in September and we were already 3 days away from September.
We are. Yeah. It's crazy. And it's really interesting that they chose, or maybe like they didn't choose it, but it's really fascinating that these 2 shows would come out around the same time. They're almost, to me, and like a guy who's not super invested in the fantasy genre, I've only seen Game of Thrones all the way through 1 through 8 once. I've only seen The Lord of the Rings, you know, all those films once. So like, I have a really baseline understanding of these franchises, right? But I'm loving House of the Dragon, man. I'm absolutely loving it. The tournament scenes in episode 1.
The tournament was great.
And the way that the
tournament had on like juxtaposed to the birth, that was crazy.
That was crazy. That went so hard. That
so interesting.
It was brutal. Crazy. In more ways than one, right? Because here you have this horrible, bloody thing happening in this tournament. People are getting their heads smashed in with maces, and you have all the citizens cheering for it. And then, like, somewhere off in the kingdom, man, Queen is dying. Viserys is having to make the toughest decision of his life, sacrifice his wife to birth his son. Huge turning point there. I think that really started Viserys' downfall, is like that one moment, and the way that they hung on that moment for so long, and the brutality of Emma's death, and just fantastic. And then I realized when I was watching that episode, I'm like, wow, this is amazing television. This is fantastic storytelling. And then I was like, I have like 30 more minutes of this episode. What else can we do?
True.
It was very exciting. I love that.
I'm very interested. Oh my gosh. I'm very interested to see the whole piece with the Iron Throne, the chair.
Why is it cut?
And like him cutting himself.
Yeah, what is that?
And then it like poisoning him. I'm very interested to see where they go with that.
My theory is Daemon.
Please.
It all kind of just goes around to Daemon, because where did we see Daemon Targaryen the first time he showed up in the series, dude?
On the chair.
On the Iron Throne. Why was he there? Perhaps he was lacing it with some poison, sharpening the knives, really trying to butter up the downfall of Viserys here. That's my theory. It's pretty obvious. Who knows what's really going on there? Like, why would they make it such a big deal? You know, they got the maesters like draining his wound. Gross. It's really awful, but why would they make a big deal of it if it wasn't? It's got to be something, right? So
true.
Yeah, the other thing is I'm just really excited to be jumping on board to like a hype. This elevated.
Yeah, we talked about
because I was not around. Well, I mean, I was around, but I was not a part of the Game of Thrones madness, right? When that show was in its prime, dude, everybody would stop what they're doing. I think it came out on Sundays. Everybody would stop what they're doing. They would talk about it at work all day, Monday and Tuesday, and just like, what'd you think of Thrones? Did you watch it? Yes. Even people at school, right? I was
my old boss. My old boss just talked nothing but Game of Thrones for when I worked in Scottsdale at Chop Shop.
Yeah.
Dude,
it was a meme.
He talked
like SNO.
So literally, I started watching
it about it,
and literally, I would watch like I still remember I was watching like 4 or 5 episodes a night. Like I would literally get home from work and I would just binge it, and it would be like midnight, 1 a.m. and I knew I had like a 6 a.m. opening shift.
I'm gonna get 3 hours of sleep. Don't matter.
Yeah, I remember, dude. I remember walking into work because I had just watched The Red Wedding, and it was literally I watched it. And it was like 1:30 at night, and I'm just sitting there like this.
Yup.
I walked into work and I'm like, dude, what happened? And he's like, what? And I'm like, I just finished Red Wedding last night. He's like, oh my God. And
okay, like, let me give you some space, man.
The whole shift, we just talked about it the whole time.
Oh, man.
Yeah, no, I'm really happy that we are back on this. I'm really happy that, like we talked about.
My thing is, like, I'm just happy to be a part of it now.
That weekly. I love that we're back on weekly.
Yes. Exactly.
Because like, dude, like that's the problem with like Stranger Things. Everything drops at once and it's conversation for 2 weeks and then it's done. Whereas now we have conversation for the next month.
We have something to look forward to. This is like the period, the era of the show coming out. I just, it's superior in every way. You can drop every episode of She-Hulk that you want. It's not going to hold a candle to this episode to episode thing, and it's ironic because She-Hulk is doing the episode to episode thing. But I think that series would actually benefit from being dropped all at once. We'll get there.
Okay, hold on.
What?
Well, that was a segue to where we're talking about She-Hulk now, I guess.
No, we don't have to. I was just saying. I'm done solidifying your point that yes, the fact that it's releasing week to week. There is anticipation builds every day until you get to that Sunday night. And I told Russ before we started the show, I'm like, oh, dude, me and my buddy, we're starting to do this Sunday night thing, right? We're going to watch Game of Thrones at 6:00. We make food. We play Battlefront for a couple hours beforehand. We make a thing of it. And I was like, Rush, you should come over and do this. Like, it's an event, right?
You know, the funny thing is I can't come over and watch Game of Thrones because I have the same thing with my roommates.
Yeah, see, that's great. So the fact that we're able to gather and just have people come over for this thing. Like, I love that.
Exactly.
I love that.
No, it's fun. It gives us something to look forward to. It gives you something to do.
And it's
No,
something that
I'm excited.
it's something that I feel is lost nowadays, right? With streaming, people are still trying to figure out how to release these episodes. There's just a
True.
million different ways to do it now, but this is just classic, great television. So,
and yeah, I'm just happy to be in. I'm really excited. Oh,
dude, your
the
camera's like
tracking is on. Yeah, no, it's the tracking is on. So like,
pretty
watch.
sweet, actually. I like that.
I can
That's
move
awesome.
around now. I didn't even realize it got turned on. My train of thought. Oh, as a huge medieval nerd, I am so excited to be back in like Dungeons, Dragons, knights.
Dungeons and
I love that.
Dragons, dude. That had a
I
trailer at
love that.
Comic-Con.
Oh,
We didn't talk
yeah,
about
that trailer. I'm actually excited for
Me
that.
too.
I
I
think
was
that looks
hyped.
like
That trailer got me
I think that
super
looks like
excited. It looked fun. Love the cast.
But yeah, I have nothing more to say. I'm really excited for this show. I really enjoyed it.
I would say it's great. It's fantastic. Great writing. I would say the only thing that I've really felt was kind of not doing it for me, or I wouldn't say let me down, but I guess
Right.
I was expecting more, is the character of Rhaenyra, who seems to have a lot of this based around her. Episode 2 was great. It's more like episode 1. I feel like she just was kind of floating around between things. She didn't really, and I could be wrong. I could be, maybe I wasn't paying attention or something. I felt like she just wasn't given her moment in episode 1. We follow Rhaenyra around. We know her relationship with Alicent, which is even more important because she's trying to get with the king and everything. But I just felt like Rhaenyra, although being the title character and like the lead Targaryen kind of, I just felt like they just didn't give her much in episode 1. And then episode 2 came around. Episode 2 came around and she was given the big moment, right? When they were on that standstill between Otto, Hightower, Daemon, his forces. They've all got their people behind them. I couldn't believe that Otto Hightower brought just like 20 guys to Dragonstone to like, what are you thinking, dude? You're going to get annihilated. But
the problem is in the name of that place. It's Dragonstone.
Yeah,
you shouldn't have.
You have dragons.
Come on.
Rhaenyra was right. But she came out, she was like, boom. Yeah. It just made sense. And she was given her big moment to shine. So that's not even really an issue I have anymore. Everything's solid. So
I think, so this is something that I realized. I was listening to another podcast and they kind of talked about it. This show is going to be taking place over centuries.
Yes.
So like, that's the thing. So there's multiple actresses playing Rhaenyra. Like, we're getting this version, and then at some point during this season we're time jumping, and so I'm really excited for that, because I think that's going to give this a very like almost anthology feel, while also still playing with the what the story that they're pushing. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah, there's going to be some big time jump because they have, you're right, different actors casted for these different parts. Similar to kind of how they did Ned Stark in, I think, season 8. They kind of had flashbacks to his younger self fighting the Morning Star. Can't remember, but
because they had to explain. They were explaining
that was
John's
Bran's doing the 3-eyed raven shit or whatever.
But they were explaining John's origins. That's why. Because he is a target.
You're right.
Targaryen. So they were explaining like he's not Ned Stark's bastard. He is actually.
That's right. I thought
a Stark / Targaryen.
I feel like that's not what this is going to be, though. We're going to leave these younger versions. You know what? I think it's going to be Viserys' death is going to happen. That's going to force somebody into the throne, whether or not that's the chosen heir, Rhaenyra, or Daemon. Yeah. True. Viserys is going to get killed. There's not a chance in hell he's going to make it past season 1.
He's going to die.
He's got to die. It's just facts.
He's dying mid-season.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be the thing that jumps us. That's going to be like the big. Yeah.
I think that's going to probably
whatever.
That would be the best way of doing it, is having this, half the season being where we are right now, and then the last half being a push forward.
That was kind of news to me. I didn't realize that was the case, that there were multiple actresses cast at these.
I didn't either until like this last week when I started listening to this
literally
podcast.
For me, it was like 2 days ago. I was like, oh, that's
think I'm gonna, this is one thing I love about HBO Max is that with a lot of their shows, especially the ones that are theirs, they do companion podcasts.
Oh, nice.
And I think I'm gonna check out the House of Dragon one just to see how what it is, because I'm very interested to see what happens.
For sure. I used to do the same thing with The Walking Dead when that was big. They'd have Talking Dead, the talk show afterwards, and they have guest stars. Great.
Talking Dead was great. My mom got hooked on Talking Dead.
I got really big into Talking Dead. I almost looked forward to it as much as I did The Walking Dead. You know what I mean? I want to see what they talk about afterwards.
Brings up a complete tangent, but the Negan and Maggie spin-off Walking Dead show got a new name.
Yes,
it is now Walking Dead
City.
Dead City. And I'm super excited about that show because it's literally they're going to Long Island. So or Manhattan.
Oh, wow.
So the idea is they're going to this city that has been cut off from the rest of the world, and you get to see that experience. I'm super excited. I think that's going to be really cool.
Dude, that has me really interested, actually. I didn't know it was taking place in Manhattan. I thought it was...
Plus, I will watch anything Jeffrey Dean Morgan is it, or...
Yeah, hell yeah. Dude, he was cast in The Boys recently. That's the news. He's coming to The Boys. What the hell? That's awesome.
I'm really excited.
He fits
really
right
excited
in.
About that.
He fits right in with that cast.
He's going to fit.
I think he knows the showrunner, Eric Kripke. He's getting just all his friends. That's how they got Soldier Boy. I love that. Sense. It's like a huge club over there. We should talk.
Let's talk about She-Hulk.
Yeah,
let's talk She-Hulk.
Go ahead. I think you're more positive on it than me. So
let me start.
I don't want to shit all over it. Starting out.
We talked about it a little bit at the porch, and you said something that made sense to me.
Oh no! What did I say?
Oh, jeez.
I don't always say the best stuff, so I'm like, what?
No, you said that the She-Hulk is exactly what you expected, and yet you're still weirdly enough underwhelmed.
Yeah, I did say that, didn't I?
Or disappointed.
I wonder what I meant.
Part of that I agree with. Part of that I agree with.
Okay.
It's exactly what I thought it was going to be.
Yep.
Nothing literally I'm not disappointed in it because it's exactly what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
I didn't have a ton of expectations for it. I figured it was going to be, okay, we're going to push an agenda, but it's going to be fun. And that's what we've got so far. Again, this is a sitcom. I really do think they should have dropped the first 2 episodes week 1. I think that would have been smarter because I think it isn't until episode 2 that you really go, oh, okay, this is what this is going to be.
Yeah. I read a bunch of reviews that said the same thing. Episode 1 is really weird. And then episode 2 is what it is. So
and that's the thing is I like episode 2 more because we're finally getting back into her routine. I think episode 1
if I could the problem with episode
1 the problem with episode 1 for me is they heavy-handed everything.
Oh yeah,
I have no problem with you making comments about how she is better than Bruce. Fine. Especially in the fact that jokes when he says, "Wait, you don't have another person in there? You're just Jen?" And she's like, "Yeah." Fine. That's how you can do those jokes without actively hitting your audience over the head with the message that you want to get across.
Yeah.
But they didn't just leave it there. They actively went full on feminism, and it was just it was a lot. It was too much.
It wasn't. My problem with it is
it wasn't subtle.
I was going to say the same. I was exactly going to say that it wasn't subtle at all. It felt very preachy and very. I mean, it felt like the reason they built this show was just so that they could really hammer that message into its audience, which is just annoying because you have to believe that all this media that they're putting out, it's got to have some deeper meaning. I understand that it's got to have some sort of message to it, and it's coming from Disney, so it's going to have some sort of agenda. But I mean, that's all fine. You just have to do it in like an artistic, decent way. The main crux of storytelling in the visual format like this is show, don't tell. And they literally just have their characters sitting down, boom, boom, telling you all this. There's a fantastic GIF going around on Twitter of when Jen is doing her super clap, right? Because the Hulk, boom, massive clap, blows everything back. Jen tries to do it. It's really bad. And then she's like, oh, I can do it multiple times and get the same effect. And it's just that Jen going like boom, 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 boom. And they put like the Roblox effect or whatever on it. It's so funny. But that's just that's it, like the perfect,
that's literally what that's
the perfect image for this show, because it's just like here's all this big political nonsense. And the problem is I don't really like the Marvel stuff that it does either. I was gonna say if I could encapsulate if I could encapsulate kind of what I don't like in the MCU right now, it is She-Hulk episode 1. I have big problems with the way that they're doing Hulk. I have big problems with the way that the series just looks in general. And I have big problems with the way that the humor is done, because it's not funny to me. I'm not having fun with it. And it's just...
are you a big sitcom? Are you like... Hold on. So I do want to ask, are you not a fan of sitcoms?
No.
Okay, well then that literally explains why you don't like this show.
I get it. I know.
That literally explains, because like after episode 2, you very much realize that they are going for like Friends.
Yeah,
like,
and it is like a 30-minute thing. It's
like
so
New
quick.
Girls. This is like New Girl. This is like Friends. This is like How I Met Your Mother.
Yeah,
like this is a sitcom, and like I love sitcoms, so I think that's also where I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. This is very different from anything they've done in the MCU.
Yeah.
But honestly, I'm much happier that they're doing other things than just doing the same old.
Agreed. I will give it props for being unique, right? Because WandaVision was kind of the first foray into the television. It kind of did like this historical time period sort of deal.
It was very,
all of these Disney Plus shows have felt in some way or another different from each other. And She-Hulk is very unique because they took big steps to kind of present it differently in that sitcom format. And props to them. I think that is probably the best tone that they could have gotten with a show like this, because I'm not terribly familiar with the She-Hulk character, but I know kind of the history of her.
Yeah, right? she breaks the fourth wall,
so like and all that stuff. And that's fine.
Third wall.
It's just not my thing. In the same way that we said Miss Marvel, we're like, oh, we're not going to watch that. It doesn't seem like that's something we'd like. I checked it out. I was totally wrong. I was really invested in Miss Marvel and the story that they were telling there.
Really good. Really good.
And that's just not happening with She-Hulk. I'm going to continue watching it.
And honestly, like, I get it. Honestly, at the end of the day, one of the things, the biggest takeaway for me out of the first 2 episodes is it has me hyped for whatever Hulk does next, because
I'm interested. Like, why is he going to space? I'm interested.
What it sets up is Planet Hulk, and I really want. Yes, it does. It does. He's going back to Sakaar. He's going back to Sakaar. He's in that Sakarian ship. He's in a Sakarian ship. He's going back to Sakaar, which I think is going to be what happens. So here's my like nerded out theory of what happens is that we are going to get a Planet Hulk. And what's going to happen is that in the way that he loses control, which also the way he explains why he was Banner when he had the broken arm makes they did such a good job of making that make sense. Is that because he had the broken arm, it was throwing the balance that he had come that he and the Hulk had kind of worked out.
You're talking about like why he was Banner in the first place, like
why he was Banner.
Yeah. Okay.
It was throwing the broken arm and whatever the gauntlet did to his arm was throwing that all out of whack. So that's why he was wearing in She-Hulk, he was wearing this device on his arm that actually kept him being just Banner. Then, She-Hulk becomes She-Hulk. Her blood is exposed to Banner, and Banner's blood is exposed to her. her blood heals his arm, which then allows him to become Smart Hulk again because he's able to get that balance back. But the interesting part in that is that he's now going to space. And so here's my theory.
Yes. Why is he going to Sakaar?
He goes to Sakaar to figure out who sent someone to kill him.
The ship.
Because someone sent that ship to kill him. So he's going to go back to Sakaar to figure that out. While he's there, something is going to happen between his relationship with Hulk that is going to throw, honestly, it may just be being back in Sakaar that throws it out of whack. And in the same way that in Ragnarok, he hadn't been Banner for 6 months, he is going to essentially become Hulk again.
Yeah.
And then in that process, hopefully, what will happen is that he will have kids, and then that ship that he took blows up. This I'm now taking from the actual Planet of the Hulk series. Hopefully that ship will blow up, kill his family, and then he decides that he's going to wage war.
I can't believe you just said that
on the planet.
Hopefully the ship blows up and kills his whole family.
Wow. All right. Cool. Yikes. So I'm really excited for that. The thing is, I've always been a Smart Hulk apologist. I have always liked it. I've never do I wish we had Hulk? Absolutely. But we got Hulk. We got Avengers 1. We got Avengers 2. We got Hulk as Hulk. He needs to have character growth just as much as everybody else. And the problem has been he's never been able to have his own movie. So we've had to have that character growth through the Avengers movies and everything.
Yeah,
so
it's always been secondary.
Smart Hulk. I have no problem with him being Smart Hulk. In the same way that I have no problem with Abomination being the way he is now. I think they make it make sense in this show on why these people why Tim Roth's character is so different from where he was. I mean, it can happen. That's absolutely that's absolutely something that can happen. Yes. Do I wish we would have gotten another movie with Abomination being Abomination? Absolutely. I also think this show is going to set him up as being in the Thunderbolts because we don't have Red Hulk anymore unless they recast Thunderbolt Ross. We don't have Red Hulk, so obviously we're gonna have to have a Hulk. So why not bring Abomination in that? So
what if they made Emil Blonsky Red Hulk? What if this is the chapter of his life where he's like, I don't want to be this monster. I want to go back to being the soldier.
But also, if you watch Incredible Hulk, his comment to Jen about how he didn't want to become a Hulk, he thought he was getting a super soldier serum and everything, that makes sense. So it makes sense why he's actually very apologetic for everything that happened, because he didn't want to become a monster. And if you rewatch the Incredible Hulk, that's really kind of the thing. He was all he wanted was to become a better soldier, and they told him that the super soldier serum was going to do that. He didn't know that he was going to end up turning into an abomination.
I feel like I just watched. So I mentioned how I was going on an HBO Max binge, right? I'm very excited to have the platform back. House of Dragon, obviously, it was the reason for that. But I checked out Harley Quinn. I checked out the Godzilla movie. And I did check out The Incredible Hulk, because that is where that movie is currently sitting.
HBO Max?
The Incredible Hulk, Edward Norton's Hulk movie, is on HBO Max. And when I was sick on Monday, I checked it out, right? Because I was like, I have 2 episodes of She-Hulk under my belt. We've seen the direction that they've taken Emil Blonsky. How different is this? Really? It's been years since I've seen this movie. Maybe 6, 7, 8 years since I've seen this film. So I checked it out. Emil Blonsky, you're right. He wants to be the perfect soldier. His crux for getting the super soldier serum is he doesn't want to age. He makes a comment to General Ross where it's listen, if I
because
could
he wants to be
take,
a badass always.
he wants to stay a badass. He's like, if I could take the knowledge that I have right now and put it back in the body I had 20 years ago,
Yep.
that'd be somebody I don't want to fight. But throughout the whole movie, he's looking at Banner and he's like, is this guy a fighter? Is this guy going to challenge me? And then he sees the Hulk. He's like, that's the most powerful thing I've ever seen. At the end, when he confronts Stearns about giving him the Hulk's blood, he's like, I want that. Make me that. I need that.
Right.
I need that power.
Right.
So I think he's fully aware of what he will become because he wants to be a Hulk.
And there's I will agree with you on a lot of that. What I will say is that the MCU has taught us one major thing, and that is ever since Captain America, the super soldier serum that they have tried to recreate has always been off.
Yeah, it's never been perfect.
It's never been perfect. So what I will say is, in a lot of ways, I think because he gets the super soldier serum before he really starts going, I want the Hulk power.
Low key, the serum
in a lot of ways,
like he is kind of like perfect
exactly
at that moment. He wants more of those. No problem.
But we know from the comics that there have been Captain Americas that have gotten the super soldier serum and gone crazy because of it.
Yeah. So a lot of imperfect variations.
My headcanon, and this may be completely wrong, it just may be, hey, I want to make these all like fit. My kind of thing is that because the super soldier serum has never been perfect since Captain America, it affects his brain in a way that pushes all of his already, like, what his urges and what his drive is farther.
Dude, I know you're thinking of
think of it this way. Captain America 1. Erskine says what? He says, the serum does not only makes you a better man,
it amplifies what's inside.
It amplifies what's inside. So a good man is going to be a great man, and a bad man is going to be a worse man, essentially.
Blonsky's not a good man.
Red Skull becomes a worse man.
Horrible.
Blonsky was not a good dude.
No.
So he becomes a worse man. So, yes, you can look at it as a plot hole, but if you look at what the MCU has set up in its world, the idea that Blonsky goes from, I want to be the perfect soldier, to, oh my God, I want the Hulk power, to then now being like, I just wanted to be the perfect soldier, makes sense.
It's been what, like 12 years maybe since the events of the Incredible Hulk. He's been in prison the entire time because there was nods to him and S.H.I.E.L.D. and all this stuff.
Banner says, he's like, dude, I'm a different person since that back then. And obviously that's a wink and nod to the fact that he literally was a different person.
I like that.
It also then is the same way for Blonsky. Blonsky is a very different person because he's been in jail this whole time. You know, jails, and especially the MCU has always kind of said that, like, hey, we're trying to rehabilitate people. And like prison, that's the goal of prison even today. It's to rehabilitate people. So like, you know, hey, look, Blonsky may be being rehabilitated.
Yeah, I suppose. Personally, it's not the direction I would have taken the character. And after seeing the Incredible Hulk and the portrayals of Banner and Blonsky and Thunderbolt Ross and Betty, I'd love to see Liv Tyler come back as Betty. Honestly, I think that'd be fantastic. But I love those. I love the feel of the early MCU, and just where we are right now is not my cup of tea. So that's Blonsky. Let's talk future.
Hold on. One thing. What I will say is, kind of before we get to the future stuff, one thing I will say is the last. I don't know what that was. The
keyboard
last
cleaning break. Done.
The last part of the episode where she accepts the job. First off, best part of that episode was her conversation with Bruce. This is why I say my favorite parts of the first 2 episodes is anything with Bruce in it, because I think the Bruce of it, I'm always craving more Bruce Banner, and I'm always and it's mainly because of Mark Ruffalo.
Specifically
I love Mark
Banner,
Ruffalo.
right? Like not
Banner,
Smart Hulk,
but also
not Hulk.
I want more of Banner,
Right.
Hulk. I want that character.
He really needs a
more
movie,
of that
dude.
character.
They need to give him a
So
film.
anytime he's on screen, I'm really happy. That's why I really loved pieces of Age of Ultron, where you had Banner being Banner. Because I just think Mark Ruffalo is such an amazing actor. That's why I loved Thor Ragnarok so much too. He and the way they portrayed Hulk was fun. I thought it was interesting. But I really also love how the way they go about kind of placing where She-Hulk is in the MCU. And it's literally the last scene of this episode.
Of episode 2.
Okay. It is she calls her boss to say, "Hey, I'll accept. Like, I will, I'll represent Blonsky,
right.
blah blah blah." He goes, "Yeah. Turn on the news." She turns on the news, and the news is covering that a video of Abomination being in a fight club and not in prison anymore. And she had just visited
for her case.
And the best part is that literally happened in Shang-Chi. So this is set at the same time Shang-Chi was going on, is happening.
Oh, is it
and
meant to imply that was literally that happened like the night before or something, the fight?
That literally happened when
See, I thought it was like Blonsky's been doing fights or whatever, but that makes it even better that it just happened.
Because she was like, "Oh, this case is in the bag.
Damn it,
I got this."
Because she's a defense attorney.
And then her boss is like, "Hey,
my client just snuck out of prison and went to China for an underground fight club. Damn it."
So
that actually ties into Blonsky as well, because he's been in prison this whole time, and if he has an opportunity to go out and fight some people, he's gonna take it. And no wonder he's got his butt kicked, because he's been incarcerated for years.
It's that dual personality. It's that dual personality. I think
for sure. Interesting. What do you think about the CGI in this film or this series?
It's good. It's fine. I think the biggest thing is that Banner looks better right now, but that's because they've had how many years?
You know what I think it is? Right, they have like the models and all that stuff. I'm not gonna get into it, but he also just has more. He's got like stubble, facial definition. He's got more stuff going on to make him look like a real person.
I think she looks like a real person.
It's fine. Yeah, I think it's decent. It's at the like bottom of the list of things that I would complain about at this show, to be honest with you. But my problem is, it's like she's too like clean. I don't know how to put it exactly, but you know how in scenes where she's with Smart Hulk, Bruce has all the stubble and glasses, he's got gray in his hair and all this stuff. Right. She-Hulk is like
she looks like a supermodel,
and it's like there's no imperfections, and it's like it kind of makes it look even faker than it is. It kind of amplifies that. I don't know what the fix is for that, but
I get where you're coming from. But at the end of the day,
but her movements and things are fine, and it all works. And
that's kind of like they're staying very close to like her character in the comics. And so like I like it's like I'm fine.
Yeah, the CGI is fine. It's hardly anything to really
looking forward to future episodes, and this we can kind of close out on.
Episode 3 is going to be big, I hear.
Yeah, that's kind of what I hear
heard
too.
There's like
episode
a 3 moment in this next episode that's
3. I also hear episode 3 or 4 in House of Dragon is supposed to be pretty big too.
Well, that would be mid-season, right? Because there's only 8 episodes of House of the Dragon, right?
Probably.
Or
I feel like
10 at the most, probably. But those are an hour long, so it's fine.
Looking forward to the future episodes of She-Hulk. One thing I will say, and this is something that I'm very happy about, is that this show gives the excuse to be able to have Daredevil show up in a yellow and his yellow and red suit.
It's growing. That suit is growing on me every time I see it. I'm like,
because this is a sitcom, it will make sense. Like, it's not going to feel out of place. He's still going to be like, he's still going to be Daredevil, but it's going to be a little bit lighter because you're in this show. And so that's one thing that I really love, is because now we're going to get this suit that you would never have gotten in the comics
or Netflix. Let's be honest, Netflix would never introduce yellow.
Yeah, you would never have seen this in the Netflix show,
which I would be fine with.
This gives us a great out to show this costume off. Go, hey, comic fans, you remember that red and yellow suit? Well, we did it. Our little
there you go.
And then in Born Again, they've already said he's going to be in an all black with red highlight suit. So he can then, probably first episode, he may not even be in that red and yellow suit, but also first episode, he could literally just do a costume change.
Yeah. He's going to be in episode 3, no doubt. I think the way that
really?
this...
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so this might be a little bit of a spoiler for you, but I'm on the IMDb page looking at the actors and actresses. Tim Roth, Abomination, 8 episodes. Jamila Jamil, Titania, 8 episodes. Mark Ruffalo, 9 episodes. He's in every one of them. Charlie Cox. How many episodes do you think Charlie Cox is in? Just give me a number.
I think he's going to be in 6.
He's in 7.
Dang.
And this series, how many are there? 9 episodes. 9? There's 9 episodes. He's in the rest of the show. So he's coming. He's coming tomorrow.
So here's the thing. It made sense.
The question is how much involvement.
That makes sense. That makes sense to me.
They're both lawyers. I mean, it's
because they're lawyers. I have this feeling that Matt is going to be on the other side. He's going to be the one going
stuff. Yeah, let's see him go.
I feel like he's going to be on the other side of the Abomination table, which I think is going to be really fun, because then that makes sense why he would then show up as Daredevil to talk to She-Hulk. Yeah, dude, I'm excited. Oh, wait, go ahead.
I don't personally see, because knowing what we know about MCU Daredevil, why would he have any connection to Abomination? He's always been like a defense.
No, he's
not a prosecutor though. He's always been a defense lawyer for the smaller people, right? He's like the people's lawyer.
In this, he could, this could be one of those situations where he decides, hey, I'm going to be a prosecutor. So, because in the comics, he's done both. He's been both a defense attorney and he's been a prosecutor. He's also been a defense attorney for prison inmates, which that was a really interesting storyline where he was even trying to work through that. He's like, I put this guy in jail as Daredevil. Why am I I don't why?
But Abomination, man, he's a killer. He tore up
but that's
New
why
York.
he would be a prosecutor. That's why he would be a prosecutor.
But Matt's not a prosecutor, really, in what we've seen of him so far. I don't see the connection to the Abomination, really.
Here's what I will say. She-Hulk is trying to let him out of jail. So it makes sense that Matt would be trying to keep him in jail. He is the Abomination.
Yeah.
For one. So, and again, he also Abomination destroyed Harlem. Hell's Kitchen isn't that far from Harlem. So I think that's also another thing is hey, that you destroyed neighborhoods near me.
Yeah.
You destroyed neighborhoods that I've grown up in, I've lived in.
Battling Jack Murdoch had a fight that night and he destroyed the ring, man. I can't let you get away with it.
You killed my dad. You ran over him.
But
you threw a bus into it.
You threw a bus and you sprayed chemicals on my eyes. No, I mean that would be kind of, oh shoot, I'm losing my headphones. I feel like that would almost be the less interesting route. I feel like my theory for why Daredevil would be in the She-Hulk series is the next appearance we're going to see him in is, I believe, Echo, right? The Hawkeye character Echo, related to Kingpin and all that stuff. My theory is that he is looking for leads on where Echo is. Kingpin's probably disappeared, and his investigation leads him to Los Angeles. And the way that She-Hulk discovers him is she's probably looking.
Is she in Los Angeles?
Yeah, this series takes place on the West Coast, I believe. I could be totally wrong. If not, she's obviously in New York, and maybe the trial is just in New York. We don't even know. Why are we doing this? But if a lot of people are like, why does Daredevil go to the West Coast? I think he's chasing leads on Echo and Kingpin. The trails run cold, but he's there.
Oh, it is Los Angeles.
And the way that Jen Walters discovers him is she is suddenly thrown into this superhero life, and her cousin's off planet. So who's she going to turn? She doesn't know the Avengers. She doesn't really know any other superpowered people. And then you get word that this vigilante, known for operating in New York, is in town. I think she's going to go investigate that. She's going to be like, what's this guy doing? Maybe she feels some sense of like, you're on my turf.
You think he's going to mostly be Daredevil in this?
I mean, it would be a shame if they didn't use Matt Murdock because they would be playing up the lawyer aspect of that. But I think she's going to meet him as Daredevil. And throughout the show, you're going to see that he doesn't really want anything to do with this case. But Jen, for whatever reason, is going to need some help, maybe some consulting. And then she's also trying to figure out her superpowered stuff and the vigilante life because maybe she feels compelled to go out and stop crime or something. That's how I see it going down. And then there's going to be a revelation. Oh my gosh, you're the same freaking person. That's weird.
I
don't know. There's a million possibilities, man, are endless. But
yeah, at the end of the day, I think like my predictions with Matt is that it's going to be mostly Matt in this show and not.
So Daredevil. You're playing up the lawyer aspect. I think I'm playing up more of the vigilante.
I think they're going to play. I think just because of how episode 2 ends, it's really there's a reason that the tagline of this show is attorney at law. I think even when she is going to be a very reluctant superhero. So I feel like most of this show is more going to be her just falling into situations where she has to like actually act like a superhero. But at the main crux of it is that she is being She-Hulk as a lawyer and trying to be that. And so that's where I think Matt is going to come in to play. And I think Daredevil will show up, but I don't think he's going to. I think he may only show up like 3 times as actually Daredevil. I think the majority of this show, he's going to be Matt.
Probably.
So we'll see.
Either or, I'm fine with. I love this Daredevil character. I told you before we began recording this, I was like, oh, dude, I knocked over my Daredevil figure who's just on my desk. And it's the Netflix Charlie Cox Daredevil. So
nice.
He's my favorite, man. I just want them to do him right in some way, shape, or form. But
yeah, I feel that. But yeah, hey guys, welcome to Comics a la Mode YouTube.
I'm gonna check the calendar.
Welcome.
This was a fun episode, right? We started out.
We're also still on podcasts, wherever you've been listening to us before. But now there's a video component, and if you're on Spotify, hopefully this week, the video component will then add to the Spotify. So you'll be able to watch
video on Spotify.
Did you not know this?
I use Spotify on my phone. Is that a thing?
Yeah. So if you open up any Joe Rogan podcast, there's video.
I'm gonna have to check.
And actually, one of my other friends, she has a podcast, and they do video also, and she has it on Spotify as well. Nice. So when we upload this, because there is a Spotify does allow us to do video. My camera has decided
feature. It's very smooth
to
too.
Start tracking me. I know. Because of that, you'll be able to watch us on Spotify. So that'll be cool. But
that's a cool feature. I don't know that.
Come check us out on YouTube. Like and subscribe. We'd love to hear your comments. Please comment. And now that we're doing video also, I created a TikTok account for Comics a la Mode like a year ago because I wanted to start doing TikToks for it. And so now that we're on video, obviously there's a video component. So now we can try to do that. So if you want, follow us on TikTok as well. and Instagram and Twitter. We aren't very active on either of those, but now that we have now that we're doing this, I'm going to be posting more. We're going to be posting more on Instagram. I think honestly, I'm going to give Landon will probably be more in charge of the Twitter. I think that's what we're going to do. So, we'll be able to, we're going to try to do a bunch of different stuff social media wise. Big one is I really want to get on TikTok. So yeah.
Guys, check out She-Hulk, check out House of Dragon, check out Rings of Power this week. Watch all those shows so you can get caught up with what we're talking about, because we're excited about these series.
Also, because I finally got this whole setup already, I have been streaming. It's very chaotic. A lot of times it's after streams. A lot of times it's after work. Or on a Saturday, and I'm playing COD, I'm playing Battlefield, I'm playing Destiny, I'm playing whatever. So come check it out. My Twitch is a Rusty Bucket, a Rusty and then Bucket without an E. So yeah, if you see that I'm on, give me a follow. If you see me on, come into the chat, talk to me. I'm always talking about nerdy stuff, even when we're not talking.
Some love on his Twitch account. Let's
come check it out. But yeah, thanks guys. I'm really excited that we're now doing this finally. And so yeah, youtube.com/comics a la mode.
Bye guys.
Later.